Okay, guys, let's talk about chapter 4 for just a little bit. So, chapter 4. Okay, chapter 4 is all about matrices. So, if you have one, it's called a matrix. It's just a little vocabulary overview. So, if you just have one, it's called a matrix. So we've talked about them a little bit. I introduced them to y'all early in chapter 3 to help you through some of those problems. So if you have one, it's called a matrix. If you have more than one, if you have several, if you're on the lesson or the chapter about them, then they are called matrices. So that's just a little something to help you out. Okay, some basic info. So we have rows and we have columns. So if I have, this would be 2 rows and 3 columns. So it would be a 2 by 3. So it's the number of rows first and then the number of columns after that. Okay, and it's a way to sort and organize data. So if you have a table, you can turn it into a matrices. And that's what you're going to do at the beginning of chapter 4. You can, let's see what else they're going to have you do. They're going to have you subtract and add, which works whenever you have the same number of rows and columns in each one. So let's do a practice problem. So if I have a matrices, we're going to call this one A and this one B. So if I have 4, 2, 7, 1, and 9, -3, 0, 5. Okay, so I can add them, A plus B. Okay, so A plus B, I'm just going to add corresponding numbers together. So which one am I going to add to 4? I'm going to add 9, so that's 13. What am I going to add to 2? -3, so that's -1. 7 with 0, so that's 7, and 1 with 5, so that's 6, okay? So I can add them together. I can subtract them. Let's do B minus A. Okay, B minus A. So I'm going to take 9 and subtract 4 and get 5. -3 minus 2, -5. 0 minus 7, -7. 5 minus 1, -4. That's not -4, just normal 4. Okay, so we can add them and we can subtract them. That is what you're going to do on 4.1.1. Okay, also know that sometimes things are not possible, okay? Meaning sometimes you cannot subtract them if they don't, or add them if they don't have the same number of rows and columns, okay? The next one, okay, so there's scalar multiplication, which is just putting like a number outside, like a coefficient. So let's say I want to multiply this one times 2. So I can put 2, I can just multiply everything inside times 2. So this is an easy one. 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 7 is 14, 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so that's scalar multiplication. That's all the first section. So then the next section gets a little harder. The next section is going to be multiplying 2 matrices together. And the way this one works is that you have to first have to make sure that the rows of the first one match up with the columns of the second one. So if I have a 4 by 5, and I'm going to multiply it times a 5 by 2, that will work because the columns of this one match the rows of this one. Okay, now if I was going to multiply a 5 by 2 times a 4 by 5, well, the columns of this one is a 2, the rows of this one is a 4, so this would not work. Okay, this would work, this would not work. We're going to do an example, and this is not these last 2 lessons aren't super complicated, so you definitely watch Mr. Berger do them, and don't forget you always have your calculator so to check these. But so basically the columns of the first matrices have to match the rows of the second matrices. Okay, so we're going to do one together. And this is number 7 on your practice homework. And it says that matrix A is 0, 7, 3, negative 2, 3, 0. And matrix B is 4, 2, 1, negative 3. And it wants us to multiply B times A. Okay, so this is a 2 by 2. This is a 2 by 3. So if I do B times A, then the columns of this have to match the rows of this, and they do. So we can multiply this. Okay, so B times A is going to be 4, 2, 1, negative 3 times 0, 2, 7, 3, 3, 0. Okay, so now this is not like addition where you just find the matching numbers. You're going to multiply the row of the first and the column of the second. Okay, so I'm going to take, it's like I'm taking this row right here and shifting it and multiplying it times each one of these here. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 times 0 plus 2 times 2. Okay, so I just took this and like flew it over here and matched it up. So 4 times 0, 2 times 2. Then the next one's going to be 4 times 7 plus 2 times 3. Does that make sense? Okay, and now I'm going to do 4 times 3 plus 2 times 0. Okay, so that's the first row. So I took row 1 and multiplied it times column 1, column 2, and column 3. So do you see why they have to match? Because if I didn't have the same number of rows as the same number of columns, then I wouldn't have corresponding numbers. So 4 and the 0, 2 and the 2, 4 and the 7, 2 and the 3, 4 and the 3, 2 and the 0. Okay, now I'm going to erase or go back and undo those just so that it's cleaner to finish, but I'll write that again probably. Okay, so then now I'm going to do the same thing, but with the bottom two numbers. So 1 times 0 plus negative 3 times 2. 1 times 7 plus negative 3 times 3. 1 times 3 plus negative 3 times 0. Okay, and now I just finish out the multiplication, you know, like simplify everything. So that's 0 plus 4 is 4. 28 plus 6 is 33. 12 plus 0 is 12. Negative 6, 7 plus negative 9 is negative 2. 3 plus 0 is 3. I think that's right. Y'all can double check me. So then we just simplify the math. So once again, this time I took the 1 times 0, 3 times 2, 1 times 7, negative 3 times 3, 1 times negative 3, negative 3 times 0. So that's how they correspond when it's time to multiply. Another thing you can do is put matrix A in your calculator and matrix B in your calculator and do A times B and see what it, excuse me. In this case, you would do B times A because order matters. So you would do B times A and see if you get this. So your calculator could definitely help you. Okay, the last lesson is about transforming geometric figures. So you're going to have figures and you're going to like shift them up 1 and down right, or down, you know, like shift them around on a graph. And basically you're just adding the same number to every point, every ordered pair. So because the chapter 3 practice test, I'm pretty sure took you a long time. I am not going to talk about that one much because you can talk with that one with Mr. Berger and ask questions next week if you have any. Okay, so hope everyone has a great day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.